actually tomorrow I'll be meeting him in the gym. He goes, they'll be running full. Will you run full with us? I said, I absolutely will. I put a bag over my head so they can't see my face. But when I tell people that I was a professional basketball player, they generally look at me and say, what?
Too short?
Are you tall enough? Are you too short? And the truth of the matter is, I was not the fastest. I did not jump the highest. I wasn't the quickest. I can shoot and still fill it up. But what you can't see is my heart. You see, because my heart is 10 feet tall.
Yeah, all right.
Right? And so what makes a heart 10 feet tall? Do you know that our heart is the strongest muscle in our body? It means that when I fall, what do? I get back up. When I fail, which I do, what do?
Get back up.
Right? And when people push us, curse at us, spit on us, that does happen on a basketball court. When they make sure that they elbow you, what do? What do we all do? We get back up. No, we do not punch them in the face. We get back up. You see, that's what the inner athlete is. It is about building heart. So let me ask you all this question now. How many of you are athletes?
Everybody.
Right? It's about the inner athlete in all of us. Now I have to tell you, growing up, I look back at this philosophy of why not. Recently I had the privilege of giving a TED Talk. I'd love for all of you to watch it. Because why not's become a philosophy. It's almost a guiding principle of permission. Like, why not do this? At 14, why not ask the coach of the boys' tennis team if I could play? There was no girls' tennis team. Can I play on the boys' tennis team? Can I try out? Ooh, why not? I did. Or why not give up a scholarship to one of the best academic schools in the nation and play basketball on one of the best teams and end up making history by playing part of one of the best women's basketball teams, playing for the first time ever in Madison Square Garden? Why not? So let me ask you, what's your why not? Right? What's your why not? What fuels your inner athlete? For me, it's all about my basketball. When we get up here, it will be probably about Jessi's surfboard ball, and it will be about Dani's hockey puck ball, and it will be about Gabby's volleyball, and it will be about Laurie Hernandez's balance beam ball. For you, what is it? Right? You write, you create, you compete. It's your keyboards, right? It's your fingers, it's your ideas. Those are the balls that move you forward. Allows you to get in touch with your heart, build that muscle, create the storyline of why not? Why not do this? As women in sports, listen, we've had a lot of challenges and we continue to do so, but we also have incredible opportunities. For me, I've spent 25 years plus in the business of women in sports, and I can tell you that I have never been more proud, more challenged than when I was the president of the WNBA. It was the hardest job I have ever had to do, but it was the one that brought the most out of me, and I hope created opportunities for all, because at the end of the day, my why not is, why not create opportunity? Why not fight for level playing fields? The WNBA, I was on the front line of commerce and culture, and I can tell you it was beautiful and it was not pretty all at the same time. All at the same time. But the challenge of building a business around strong women, for people to embrace them openly and lovingly, we're still working on that now. And some of the women on this stage are going to tell their stories as well, and you are part of it. Because truthfully, ladies, this is about hashtag winning women, but it's also about hashtag team winning women. Because you see, we're a team. We're truly a team. I am so glad to be here on the BlogHer stage because this is the week. Did you know that this is the 45th anniversary of Title IX?
All right.
And it's funny, whether you're an athlete or not, it is game-changing in the social cultural context of the influence and power of women. You do not have to be an athlete, an elite athlete. You just need to be in the game to understand how vitally important that is. And to be on this BlogHer stage today, for all of us, do you realize it's the first time in 13 years that there have been athletes invited to compete, actually, to participate. Yesterday was our opening act. It was Serena Williams. Was she not amazing? She was amazing. I am a huge fan of Serena Williams. But I'm always amazed that at conferences and business meetings around the world, sports idols, men, are part of their headliners. They're part of the contextual conversation all the time. And there's us, in their shadows, sitting on the sidelines, on the bench, waiting for us to be called into the game. Thank you, hashtag winning woman Samantha Ski and all of her team for inviting us today to join you. We really, really appreciate it. Because at the end of the day, today, as I said, we need to learn from each other. We need to teach each other. And God bless us all, we need to support each other. You have the power to do that, without a doubt. It's in here, right? It's in that heart, that muscle that we pump every time that we extend ourselves. We reach further than we can. When I left the WNBA, I knew that my work on behalf of women and girls was not an end, it was a beginning. So when I got home, I lived just up the road in Jacksonville, Florida. I knew I wanted to do something that would have continued impact. We created a platform called Generation W, and I'm proud that some of my colleagues, Sarah, I think I saw Siobhan and Sarah are here. And it's all about educating, inspiring, and connecting women. Why? Because we want to elevate voices and open opportunity. It's funny, at 14 years old, I never knew that by asking to play on a boys' tennis team, that the story and trajectory of the work that I would do continues somewhat in the same vein. We then expanded to include girls. I don't know about you, but I have a real heart for girls. Maybe because I still feel like I am one, but I'm also worried about girls continuing to look for love in all the wrong places. I'm constantly thinking, you know what, if they had to lift up, maybe they would be further ahead than we are as women in our lives. And so we created a program called Generation Wow. And it's really funny. We coined this term. It's called Wowsdom. It's about the wow of our teenage girls and the wisdom of our women. And today on this panel, we have the wow of our teenage girl, and Laurie, in terms of Laurie Hernandez. She is 17. And she asked me, Laurie, tell me, do you want to become a businesswoman? We'll talk about it. She goes, well, I don't know. I can't decide yet. I said, did you graduate high school yet? And she said, no. I said, okay, let's graduate high school and we'll figure it all out together. We will. So today, let me just say this. Athletes, are we all athletes? Yes, we are. We are all athletes. So it is time for us right now to embrace our inner and outer #winning women. To understand that perseverance truly fuels passion. And that sport is really about the biggest game of all. It's about the game of life. And that is the game that we want to give our best abilities to, and that is the game we want to win. #winning women. Why not? Thank you, and now, let's play. Woo! That would probably be okay, right? Right? Since you're right here, it's like, yes, all right. All right, so listen, here's Laurie, Dani, Jessi, and the very famous Gabby. All right, so, well, I have to tell you, I have a pet peeve when you get on the stage and get moderators and they just fawn all over the people and you're like, oh, really? Come on, just ask the questions. And I'm like, I am fawning all over you. All of you are just so incredibly accomplished. So let me ask you this. Broad question, somebody else can take this up. As an elite athlete, what was it about becoming an elite athlete that you think easily translates into becoming an elite entrepreneur or business person?
Well, I know from a little bit of 30 years experience or so that it's the ability to work on the stuff you're not good at. You know, I always say when you go to practice, your coach doesn't say, hey, the beam's really great, so that's all we're going to work on. It's like, no, we're going to work on the floor. Or, you know, your down the line shot's perfect, so we're going to do that. You always are working and deconstructing what you're not good at to be better in the whole. And I think the ability to not take that personally and also to know who you are, to navigate where you're trying to go. You know, I think you have a tendency, is everyone okay over there? That coffee is strong. I think in order to get places that really reflect genuinely who you are, you kind of have to know that. In sports, there's nothing like a little pressure of sports to really know, like, even when you fake it to outside people, really who you are and what your strengths and your weaknesses are. So I think that is really very helpful, especially when you're trying to take on new businesses and be an entrepreneur, because that, as all of you know, is really uncharted waters.
And it is. And, you know, right next to you, to your right, Jessi, our Aussie girl. She went from the surfboard to the boardroom. By the way, I wrote that line myself. So Jess, tell us, well, you know, that transition, right? Because listen, outstanding professional global traveler athlete. And now you are the deputy commissioner, overseeing all of competition in the World Surf League. What did it take from one specifically to the other?
I think sports really taught me more than anything to be able to, to really vocalize my ambition and to be ambitious and to set goals and to be competitive and to want to be the best at what I want to do. And sometimes I think competition gets a bad rap because we think that it's about beating other people, and it's not. For me, competition is really about being the best version of myself that I can be, and really, having that drive to want to do that. And I think it's great for us as women to be able to stand there and be like, you know what, I want to be the best, because it's hard for us to do it. So sports has been really good for me to be able to stand here and tell you guys that, I want surfing to be the best sport in the world, and I want you all to watch it.
Right. It's funny you say, I want to be the best, you got some applause.
Yeah.
I can't help but think, I don't know about, everybody here watch the Olympics pretty much? Of course. Oh my God. Okay, so I want to be the best. There you are, you're standing there like in your underwear, with the whole world watching you. I don't know if any of you were a gymnast. For me, it was like I had to put on a leotard. And I didn't have a body like Gabby, so I was like traumatized, right? All right, so there you are, the most viral moment, one of the face camera, and you see her mouth the words, "I got this." Remember that? What's that about?
So basically, before I start competing, I definitely get a little too nervous and I start to overthink things, but I noticed that when I can start to convince myself, everything is okay, you're fine, you're confident, you're calm, I notice that I start to feel all of those things. And so when I tell myself that I am positive, I'm collected, and I got this, my brain will start to believe it too. So I notice that's really helped me.
Actually, that's great. So so far now, I've got to go home and tell myself I got to be the best, and I'm okay with that. I got to talk to myself and calm my brain down. All right, now, Dani, as much clothes as they take off, that's how much you put on when you become an ice hockey player.
Yes.
What's relevant to you?
It's the confidence. It's exactly that. It's being bold and having the confidence to know that you believe in what you're pitching. And so the National Women's Hockey League, we're going into our third season. It's the first professional women's hockey league in North America, and to have we're a startup business at the end of the day as well. So a big part of it was having the confidence in knowing that this product, this hockey, this brand of hockey, is meant to be played at the professional level. And so, and taking that and also having to kind of pump yourself up. And I think there's sometimes doubt when you know that you're breaking so many barriers and that you're accomplishing so much, and kind of it feels like there's always a constant uphill battle. To know that, all right, one step at a time, take things off the checklist and get it done, because at the end of the day, we believe in it. We know that it's meant to be here. So
what position did you play when you
I played defense.
Yeah. Wait a second, stand up here.
I have my heels on.
All right, this is the defenseman. Oh my goodness, right? Now again, like me, I would expect a defense person to be big.
Well, when I put my gear on, I'm much larger.
You're really big. And did you get hit a lot? Did you?
Oh yeah.
Did you get into any fights?
No. Sometimes I would instigate a bit, but
That's actually, you know what, in business, right? Business is a contact sport, friends. Just want to let you know. So that's probably a good thing, right?
yes. And it's funny. One of the things that I always say is that the first lesson that you learn in hockey is to fall down and get back up. And so it's like you were saying before. It's exactly, yeah. So.
It does build your heart.
Yep.
You know, Jessi, I don't know how many people here are from or know that much about the World Surf League. I love it. And I know that Gabby has a real connection to it as well. It's incredible. Why don't you share a little bit about what it is for us?
Yeah, so the World Surf League, it's the pro tour of surfing, but more than that, it's the best athletes and the best waves, and we go to a whole bunch of amazing locations. We go to Fiji, we go to Tahiti, we go to Hawaii, and it's kind of like a whole bunch of your friends that are really super competitive and want to beat each other, but in these amazing lifestyle locations that you can only dream of. So it's been a really great, lifestyle, I think, for a lot of people, and it's definitely a lifestyle of pro sports that people dream about.
Yeah, I'm just really struck by the courage of these women, and look at her, like she went Dancing with the Stars. I think we're putting her on a surfboard. I think we should try. I think surfing. What do you think?
I think you're amazing at surfing.
You're on the balance beam. Look how much wider it is.
I mean, I've never tried it
classes for Laurie. Now, let me ask you this. Gab, you said in the beginning that you said 30 years, so I'm going to tap into that a little bit. I don't need to emphasize it, but I did.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. But let's talk a little bit about role models. In other words, you've been out there for so long. You've inspired so many. The ability to see women like you do what you do inspires women like her to do what she does. So tell us a little bit about your experience in terms of being out there.
The other thing I was thinking also when you were talking too, another thing I think that's really important about sports, especially for women, is it also teaches us to communicate in sometimes a very matter-of-fact way, which you need in business. And we're not taught that, right? We have to get worked up, then we freak out, and then we finally tell you how we feel, versus saying, like, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me, or, you know, really voicing that. And I think women who've been in business a longer time have learned how to do that. But I think that that's another really powerful thing about sports, which is just communicating with no emotion and just being matter-of-fact and not apologetic for that. So I want to throw that in as well. But listen, I'm going to be honest, I fell into all of this. I started very late in sports. I saw one documentary on Babe Dietrichson Zaharias. If you do not know who that is, the Babe, you really need to explore who she is. She was a track and field athlete, a golf athlete, and a tennis athlete, and just a very strong woman. And I thought, wow, you know, women can be like that. And then Cheryl Miller, I had read an SI article, and so I played volleyball because that's how I got to college, quite frankly. And then I fell in love with the game. But I think it was my coaches. I had a coach at Florida State, Cecile Renaud. I had a basketball coach in high school that just kind of guided me, you know, going through adolescence and things like that is such a difficult time. But I think more importantly than having a sports role model, and maybe this is me just coming out of it on the other side a little bit, is just, first of all, you know, being that person that you want to be. You know, my husband always says, you know, be the man that you would respect. Well, we can say that for us as well, right? Like, I want to just be the woman that maybe I can feel good about. I have 3 daughters that maybe, hopefully, I mean, they don't listen to me, but hopefully they will at some point think, oh, my mom is, you know, that's a way to be, like talking about body image. And I always tell my girls, what card are you playing? What are you selling? Are you selling pretty hair? Because I'll show you millions of that. If you have a skill set, if you have something to contribute, if you can help somebody, if you have something that, even if someone doesn't like you, they can't deny it, then you have something. And so I think as women, you know, being a role model beyond our obvious things that we usually do, our beauty, our, you know, our assets, if you will, but your mind, and even, I'm going to say this, your femininity, your nurturing, your love. There is so much strength and power in being loving, because there is nothing stronger than that. And so I want to remind women, when they're in business, don't act like men. Just be really strong, badass women. And I think that's because the love part. I think we feel like, well, I have to act like a guy. You don't. And
that's exactly right. You don't. You don't. No. Yeah, but you have to find them on some level. But you said something, it's funny as you were speaking, made me think of this as you as a role model. Is when I competed in sports, it was you had to choose. You either had to be feminine,
yes,
or you had to be an athlete. You couldn't be both. And there was no imagery, and then you come along, this supermodel and this super athlete. And that's what I'm thinking, the visibility of strong women choosing to do things that matter, that they're passionate about, allows other young women to see what's possible for them.
Well, think about this. I didn't grow up with social media. I didn't get a cell phone until I was 24 years old, fully formed. I was already a professional athlete at that time. So the other thing I find very interesting, and I'd love to hear what they have to say about it, and I'll stop talking, is, you know, we have come so far, but then in some ways I feel we've never been objectified more.
That's correct.
Because of social media. So, you know, and I'm not going to use the Kardashians as an example, it's just the most obvious one. Then all of a sudden it's like your eyelashes, your butt size, like in some ways I feel like we're ahead and we're behind. And I understand it, but I really think it's a very curious thing to have to navigate, especially if you're a younger woman. For us, Donna, we're out of that.
Actually, we're probably still sucked into it because now there's all other products that we're like encouraged to buy.
But
We
it's
can
just,
spend all day talking about
yes, I
that.
don't want to get into that, but I just want to bring that up as something that is an interesting thing that younger women, be it in business or sports or both or all, they're having to navigate now another layer that, you know,
I think that's so true.
tricky.
But I got to go to Laurie here because I want to ask, what did you see when you were growing up that made you say, hey, that's what I want to do?
Well, I think my first memory of like wanting to do gymnastics, I was 5 years old. I was just sitting in my house and the TV was playing, and all of a sudden these gymnasts came up, and I didn't realize that humans did that. I didn't know that they could just
They
move
don't.
around.
Only superhumans do that.
But I mean, I saw them do it, and I saw how graceful and how powerful they were, and immediately I was like, I want to be like you. My mom put me in.
Right, so, you know, I just think that's so incredible. Like, unless it's being what you can't see, right? And unless we take the time to say, wait a second, I have a role in allowing young women to see surfers and opening the world up and the doors to say, they can do that. Or being hockey players, being basketball players, being gymnasts, right? You pick one of the 17 things that you do so spectacularly well. No, right now I'm so highly motivated by all your body work that you do, right? It's so that vitally important. Now it's easy for us to sit up here as elite athletes and make it look like it's all about winning. I mean, that's our goal, but I'm telling you, there's blood, sweat, and tears on the stage. There are broken bones and broken hearts on the stage, and I'm sure it's out there too. So maybe we should just spend a couple of minutes talking. Laurie's laughing. Yes, Laurie? Go ahead.
I've broken a lot of bones.
Okay, do you want to tell us more about it?
So, my first ever injury was a fractured elbow, and then after that healed, I ended up just getting a little bit of bursitis in there. But I've had, I think my worst year of injuries as a gymnast would be in 2014. So, in 2012, I had made elite nationals for the first time. I came in 22nd out of 23rd place, and the 23rd girl didn't even do all around, so technically I was last. But then in 2013, I came in second, and so that was a really dramatic placement for me, and I was so excited. So I figured, you know what, 2014 must really be my year. I'm ready, I'm motivated. And then in January of 2014, I was doing a skill on the balance beam, and I slipped, and I fractured my growth plate of my right wrist. And so that was really disappointing, because when you have an injury, I'm sure you guys can relate, it really sets you back as an athlete. And so I figured, you know what, maybe my body just needs to rest. And so I waited it out, I stayed motivated, and then in June of 2017, I was doing a skill on the vault, and I landed kind of twisting, and I ended up dislocating my kneecap and getting surgery.
Wait. June of 2017.
Of 2014.
2014. Okay, so the Olympics were in
2016.
And how were you feeling about your chances at that point then?
I felt that they were a little bit low, but my parents sat me down and they said, well, look, this is a really big injury. There's no shame in walking away. If you want to quit, we support you. If you want to do a lower level of gymnastics, we support you. But we still think you have time to come back for 2016. And I said, okay.
God, I would love to live life like that. Why not? Okay. I guess I said I did do that. Okay. and then the rest is history?
And then in 2015, I ended up coming in first in nationals, and that really helped me stay motivated throughout the next year and a half. And the Olympic team, I was crying all my shoes, but I could tell that like being able to push through that 1 year really paid off, because if I hadn't done that, then you know, I think I really would have regretted it, and I think my parents also saw that as well.
Wow. I'll tell you, how tall is your heart? At least 11 feet. I think you've actually expanded beyond what we could even imagine.
Thank you.
But, you know, it's that muscle memory that will stay with her whole life. Wherever you go, you will be successful. That's what we're talking about in terms of the impact of why it's so important for girls to have access to sports. All right, now she's in the rough and tumble hockey world, but even you're in the rough and tumble team sports world. So I imagine there's parallels of both great successes, but also some heartache there.
Yes, and being able to be a part of a team is something that translates into the business world as well as communication and teamwork, and understanding the importance of empowering the people around you and bringing them up and really working together. But a big part of what we're doing, like you said, you were able to look at the television and see a female gymnast and say, I want to be that. And it wasn't until recently that little girls were able to look at the TV every 4 years and see ice hockey and say, wow, I want to do that. And so I think that's a huge part of what we need to commit to is providing more opportunities and exposure. And so while social media is a terrifying thing and can objectify women, it also allows us to, it gives us a platform. So the National Women's Hockey League was born into a social media era, and if it wasn't for social, I don't think we would have been able to really get the traction that we've had. And yeah, just being able for little girls to dream as big as their brothers and kind of see it, dream it, be it type of mentality. And it's the same thing in the business world. If Donna wasn't blazing the trail for us, I mean, I don't think that we would have been able to accomplish everything that we're accomplishing today as female leaders and entrepreneurs. So it starts, every generation kind of starts to tick away at it. And I think that there's always more work to do, but it's empowering to know that we are making a change.
No, and it's true, we do stand on the shoulders of those who came before us, and therefore that's why we didn't have strong shoulders.
Yeah.
Right? We got to work on those shoulders. We need some exercises afterwards, right? Yeah.
Well, the other thing I think, and for everyone, when we're talking about applying it to being entrepreneurs in business, it is like winning and losing. I mean, I've started, 10 businesses, and sort of 4 have a life, 2 have a really good life, and it's sort of embracing the lessons that you learn in the failures, in the losses, because that is part of the process. And I really don't care who you are. I think there's very few people that can, avoid that process. And I think it's perfectly okay to say, I'm unsure of myself, I'm scared, and okay, I'm going to get up tomorrow and give it a go. Because there's those times, and it's completely normal and human. But that's what separates you from doing it and not doing it. It's just saying, okay, and besides all those feelings, I'm going to continue on. And I think that's important. Because, listen, I was a competitive athlete for a lot of years. I've had people come up to me and say, oh, weren't you that volleyball player, Gabby? And I'm like, well, actually, I'm still Gabby. I'm a volleyball player. And I think that's another really important thing is, the thing that is shiny about you is not that you're a gymnast and an Olympian, it's that you're you. And I think that that's important for all of us too, is that what is special about you is even if you're, killing in your business, it's you. You're the motor. And that's, you gotta keep remembering that.
You're the motor. I'm the motor, baby. What do you got, Jess? Did you want to add something?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that I think that when we're talking about setbacks and people not seeing the setbacks, I'm particularly, at least social media now, we can see the challenges that people have, right? Because before you would maybe not see
Unless they don't post it.
Yeah, unless
My life is perfect.
Yeah, that's true. I'm perfect. But not the mistake I see people make, but it's something that I really am passionate about is that failure is always an option. And I think people make the mistake in that, we hear people saying, failure is not an option. It's not going to happen. I'm like, well, it could happen. You've probably got a 50-50 chance. And you need to kind of prepare for it so that your life doesn't just go, all the way down the bottom if it does happen, because it's not the end of the world, right? You just have to get back up. But
That's part of the work.
Yeah.
So they're going to be linking us into it. So, and there's like 15 questions we still should talk about. I said, we're going to take the stage, we're not leaving. But,
I believe
sorry Sam, we're not going to do that, we want to be invited back. But, let me ask you this. So, we've been here sharing with all of you. There's a tremendous amount of power in this room, a tremendous amount of influence. And as I'm thinking here, you know what, could we ask you a question? If we can ask this powerful group of women who have words and distribution all at their grasp, what would we want to ask of them?
Please take notice of us, of sports.
I've been talking a lot about this, that I think that obviously there's a lot of things that we all need to continue to work on. And Donna and I were talking about this, not just for women, but for humans. But that I would hope that we take it on with a proactive voice and not and I don't mean victimized voice, but sometimes when I hear when things are unfair, that we take on a little bit of like, it's not fair. I tell my girls if they want fair, it's at the fairground. But that I think that as women, if we could say, this doesn't feel good and I'm going to do something about it, I think that that can be a very proactive and powerful thing, and all of you have that voice and that ability. So, awesome.
Dani.
And I think one of the struggles in being a female entrepreneur and sometimes a female athlete is, and with a brand new sports league, is combating the narrative that female sports can't succeed.
Yes.
So, and I think part of that narrative is driven by the media, and so being able to kind of one prove ourselves that there is a business here, we do believe in it, and that there is a product that is going to only continue to exponentially grow, but also change that mindset in the media that, okay, women don't have to fail. We can be successful. We can prove, yes, maybe baby steps to get to the same level as the men, but it's taking those steps, and anything to kind of help elevate and raise the water together.
I will say, Donna, and I'll just cut you off for 1 second because we've been doing this a long time.
Yes.
It isn't about the men. It's about celebrating greatness, because the men are big, strong, and fast, and they're awesome. And women are, if they're working hard and they're great at their game. So I think also the narrative isn't when we get like the men. No, cool, the men are awesome, let's celebrate them. We want to celebrate excellence.
We do, absolutely. I'll add this. Is that when I ran the WNBA, I would run into these guys, and they'd say, you know what, you are not the NBA. And I would say, that's exactly our point. They are who they are in all their greatness, but we are who we are in all of our greatness. And the problem is, the messaging is so imbalanced about what is greatness that we are all collectively brainwashed. We become our own worst enemies. Our brains are in some ways co-opted to think along what the mean is. And we haven't been contributing enough to the ongoing narrative.
Yeah.
And that's where you're so powerful. So let me just take it one here. Laurie, you have your last word here. Did you want to ask the audience for anything in particular?
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely agree with you guys. Being able to promote your sport through social media, I just feel like, if my generation gets to see your generation do sports and kind of do the same thing that I did and point at the screen and say, I want to be just like her, there are probably so many little girls out there who would be incredible athletes for the future, and maybe they didn't have the opportunity to do it because they didn't know that it existed. And so I think that it's really important to show a lot of love to sports, because sports has really shaped who I am today, and it can shape so many little girls out there and kind of give them life lessons that maybe they didn't realize that they needed.
That's awesome. We really appreciate that. So let me just say this in closing, is it is a pleasure to have all of you, and I'm sure you agree that this conversation can continue with a tremendous amount of more depth and continue to be great little tweet. I'm sure you guys tweet a lot of stuff. It's really good, right? It's really good. But let me just say this. I'm a team sport athlete. I truly believe in the power of team. I think women, when we team up, we are incredibly powerful. Find someone to team up with. We have Natasha out here, our good friend. My God, she is a leader of our team. I have Siobhan and Sarah. They're leaders of our team. Find people you can team up with. I would say our voices collectively really do make a difference, and changes in perspective are worth fighting for. And the platform of sports is such a great place for that not only to get seated, but to be nurtured and grow. So thank you all very much. Thank you again, Bob. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Dani. Take care.
Thanks, you guys. Amazing as always. Okay. Just laying for the last stage, sorry. Okay. Okay, guys, we have an amazing documentary downstairs in Flagler. It's called Beyond Silence, and it's going to make you